Greetings, colleague. Welcome to the Ivory Attic. I'm one of your hosts, Dr. Ian Isherwood.
And I'm Kurt Andreessen.
And we're here with a special co-curricular episode. Your hosts thought it would be a really good idea for you not to have to wait occasionally an entire month for a new episode. Isn't that right?
Absolutely. I mean, some might want to wait more than a month, but we're going to give it to them rapidly as we can produce it.
Yeah. And so what we thought is whenever we have a whim or a fancy,
which we have many,
we would do a special episode. And a few weeks ago, we were celebrating our first episode and putting it all together and having a drink together as colleagues and sometimes friends.
Sometimes colleagues.
Sometimes. And what we decided was that we thought, since there's a holiday coming up of St. Patrick's Day, that we would put together a St. Patrick's Day special. And as we are well beyond the years of going out and celebrating mirthfully,
absolutely, many years past,
many years, we thought that we would prepare an episode and then later a special cocktail for the person who's slouching toward middle age, the person who is in middle age, or the person who is yearning for retirement.
So just for the record, because we can't drink anymore on St. Patrick's Day, we created a cocktail that we are going to podcast about and drink on the podcast.
And a cocktail that could be a one and done. It could be a two cocktail kind of evening.
Yeah, exactly. We don't really know.
But it's going to be followed with probably rest.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Whether we want to or not,
right?
Which for us probably means about a 4 o'clock nap.
Greetings, colleagues. Welcome to the Ivory Attic. I'm Ian Isherwood.
I'm Kurt Andreessen.
We have an exciting program, right?
I think so. That was the plan. So we actually this is our first international Ivory Attic. We're currently.
We're still in the attic.
That's well, we're still in the attic. But we have a special guest who's coming to us from across the pond. Also, I have to say, at least from the view that we have. Yours Jeff. Your view kind of looks kind of attic-y as well.
So I'm kind of tilted.
Yeah, okay.
To give it this kind of Parisian.
Okay,
window.
all right.
There you go. That's as good as it gets now.
Wonderful.
Pretty attic-y.
All right, so our guest is Jeff McHugh. He is joining us from Paris. Jeff, I actually realized as I was starting this, I actually have no idea. What is your title? What is your current title?
Ooh. I never know what my title is, actually. I mean, in the sense that it's doctor, I suppose, because I have a PhD. But I guess my job title is postdoc.
Oh, is it just postdoc?
I suppose, our postdoctoral fellow. I don't know, because it's French. And further, if you want to get the ball rolling straight away, what further adds to the confusion is I would describe myself as a researcher, but that's like a proper job in France that's separate to being a postdoc. It's like we can get into that though at some point.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I'm always at a loss.
So you're a researcher, but not an official researcher, and you don't have an official title. That sounds great. So Jeff is a postdoc. Jeff is a postdoc joining you, and the institution that you're at currently.
It's the Collège de France.
College of France. Excellent. And so well, let's start. So what types of things are you doing these days?
Ooh, okay. So in my head, I had myself geared up for something much more existential after listening to your guys' first episode.
We can start more existential.
No, we can start.
I wanted to start light and then really go deep afterwards.
Somehow that seemed lighter. Maybe I don't know why. I think that's a bad sign. What am I doing these days? I find myself doing the same thing over and over again. I would say a lot in what I was thinking. In kind of how would I say, as a counterplay on the Ivory Attic idea, I realize I kind of reside in a sort of, I don't even know if I could call it an ivory basement, because it's actually a very dark black walled room so it's really just a basement, and and it is below ground level, so it's
if it's dark enough, you can't tell whether it's ivory. So that's
yeah. There's nothing shimmering. I mean,
exactly.
So no, yeah,
All rooms are ivory if you can't see
Yeah.
them. I don't know. Yeah.
If the lights are off.
So I find myself in. So I guess, yeah, for some context, I did my PhD in physics, and I suppose in biophysics more specifically. But I'm actually in a neuroscience lab now, so I've really changed fields quite a bit because there are no physicists in the lab or anything like that. So it's really a lab full of, like the person I work with most closely, actually, she's a psychologist by background. So it's really,
Oh, wow, okay.
in a way, it's worlds away. But then, and so I'm trying to sort of apply my, let's say, like my technical skills, I guess, that I developed during my PhD. I'm trying to employ those in the support of this kind of grand vision within the lab, which isn't going super well, but I guess that's the way science goes. But
that's the way science goes, yeah.
Yeah, but well, just to give a brief bit of maybe, I don't know if it's too much details as I cut it, but I mean, yeah. So basically, nanopipettes are these small, I mean, nanoscale. I don't know, for people who don't know, I guess nanometers in general are very small things.
Very,
so
very
measure,
small.
so they're very, very small. But
Like
everyone's
smaller
phone
than
is full of,
mice.
yeah, exactly.
Right,
Yeah,
like-
exactly. It's unimaginably small. And what is it? As small as consider like a football compared to the Earth. That's how small we're talking roughly
okay.
scale wise.
See, that's a useful analogy.
That is useful.
Yeah,
That
it's
is
really
useful.
useful because you can
Now-
easily picture those two things at the
Now,
same
it
time.
is it is made confusing by the fact that we don't actually know what he means when he says football.
That's true.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I think at that scale, I think it's negligible whether it's a sphere
I want to know the shape of it as part. Yeah.
Even if it was from a culture where football was actually like some kind of dodecahedron type thing, I think it wouldn't matter. I think it's going to just even out. Yeah. But yeah, no, it's so basically it's like a kind of a glass capillary, like it's just a glass tube that then funnels into a conical shape, and then at the end is a very small hole. That's it. And you can hold it in your hand though at the same time. So you can hold it, but the very tip is super small. You can't see the very tip, and you can easily break it, or you can stab yourself in the finger with it.
So,
or whatever.
so a very tiny straw that you can break, made of glass.
Yes,
I love it.
Yes,
Perfect.
exactly. Very easily broken, which sets itself up well for lots of experiments because you can break it a lot. So, and so I'd been working with this, and I started to work then with another group at Cambridge that was in the physiology department, and we worked on a kind of an unrelated project, and there was the promise of an Easy Nature paper, I think, was the email title. That might be
that was. I do.
It is
remember
published
that.
now, not in Nature,
Yeah,
but it is published. So I mean, the work did get done. And
Jeff and I were
happy.
lucky enough to work on this project together.
Yes.
And to be lured in by the same siren song of
Yeah.
a very great paper for very little work.
Lessons we've all learned now. I try and impart this onto the young PhD students in my lab. I'm like, don't believe anything. I was like, it definitely negotiate positions before you agree to do any grueling work or anything like that. Make sure you know where you're going to be on the paper, because people can go back on their word, but and also where it's going. But yeah. So I've been. Anyway, the project was fun. So actually, in the end, I don't really care. It doesn't matter that it wasn't in Nature. It was a very, very fun project to do, but it involved working with cells, and so I wanted to combine my first project, which involved these nanopipettes, with working with cells, and the idea was to use these nanopipettes to try and record electrical signals from really, really small parts of cells.
And I mean, electric cells sounds cool. Like, just for the record, I think if you,
It's a band name.
yeah. Well, I was
It
just
does
going
sound
to
like
say,
a band name.
in the future, when someone asks you what you do, you should just immediately say electric cell researcher, like or like lightning cell researcher, I think, or something like that. Yeah.
Like,
that sounds excellent. Have you measured any electricity from the cells yet?
I have indeed, yeah.
Oh,
I did
that's
actually
good.
during my PhD as well, a little bit. That was an interesting summer of work. That you know what? To be honest, that at that moment, I was like, I'm super interested. I was like, I don't know. I mean, people have generally heard of action potentials. I think that's a relative, even if they don't really know what they are. I think it's a relatively common term, and so I think it's
That's what makes our brains work.
Exactly, that's what makes our brains work. And so I had this vision of like seeing them on a screen when I record them, and I was like, it would be really great if I could see them. And that was my big drive for a whole summer. Every day we were trying, and at that point I definitely was young enough and still hopeful enough that I had the real stamina to keep doing that. But it worked. We did get recordings and it worked. And then I wanted to carry on the project, so I said to my current boss, about coming to Paris, and she was like, yeah, of course. And so that's how I'm here.
Yeah, I like that. So one thing that's interesting, and I think that is something that we've been talking about a lot in these conversations, is you seem to, and just given from conversation I've had with you previously, and kind of what I'm hearing currently, is that there's definitely this in these projects, right? There's this huge initial energy, right, where like you were like, this is the coolest thing I have ever thought about or even considered doing in the world.
Yes.
And I feel like that lasts for a good 2 or 3 weeks, and then there's just kind of a steady decay. So I wonder if that, like, is that all research? I don't know. Ian, is that how it is in your field?
Well, you're talking to me coming off a week of book proofs,
Right, sure, exactly.
right? When I'm wondering why I actually got into it in the first place.
Right.
And yeah, so I mean, I think it's true because that excitement period, it stays the same no matter what the discipline is, right? I mean, everybody has it, and then you realize it's actually going to take a lot of work.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is always one of the things I've always trying to figure out is like, because people ask like what, and I have students ask it a lot, which is like what's something like what makes a good researcher, like how do you become a good researcher? And like part of me thinks being able to create that excitement in your brain is part of it, but I also think it's also, especially I think for seasoned researchers, that you also need to like purposely deceive yourself into thinking that you're not going to get bored with it in a year. Like,
yeah,
like
self-deception is a coping mechanism,
I
right?
feel like it's a really important part of it, actually. Is like kind of getting in your head, like, okay, this project isn't going to be like the last 40 projects I've done, where I was really excited about it in the first.
It'll be different this
month.
time.
Yeah, exactly. But
this time,
this time it's going to be really different, and this time it's going to be exciting the whole way through,
including the proofs.
Exactly, including the proofs. Including every last detail is just going to be joy from beginning to end. I think, which is part of why I think it's always funny to talk about this stuff, because like when you do talk to people about their research, everyone's really excited about their research. I think like the big ideas are great, and then you're like, but then then you spend what was it, like you spend months in your dark non-ivory basement, trying to figure out what you're doing. Yeah,
what went wrong? Yeah, why did it not work this particular time, and why was it different to the other times?
Right, exactly. Yeah, which mistake did I make differently this time that was different than the last 100 times? Yeah.
Exactly. And bearing in mind that no one wants to hear about the details of these mistakes. I mean, like maybe some people would like to. They're not interested. Like they're just like, when is the big idea going to come through?
Right.
Actually, I got.
Right. I've heard about that really big idea. Stop telling me about the ways you fail.
Like, I don't want to hear about the niche thing. I just want to hear about it. Yeah.
That's excellent. All right, so Jeff, one thing we ask all of our guests is outside of your academics, what's currently bringing you joy?
What's currently bringing me?
Yeah, everyone gets stumped on this, which is a statement of the profession.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
It's one of the funny things that every time we ask it, there's just this long pause. Joy, you tell me.
Yeah, I don't know that feeling anymore. I don't get the outside, inside. It's not really there. Lunch, I guess eating lunch.
I will remind you, Jeff, just because I know we were good friends, and also I know that your wife will be listening to this at some point. You do have a legally obligated answer for this at this moment, probably. So generally having.
Yeah, okay, I see. Yeah, well...
Family in general.
Well, actually, no. Family in general, yeah, family. But this is actually, to be honest, that kind of reframed, that's actually made research work easier. That's the only thing I will say for having hobbies out. So maybe you guys have found that too with the podcast and whatever else. Cocktail making in your case. I don't know, Ian, what else you do on top of the podcast. I presume other stuff, because this is relatively
Nope, that's
easy,
it. That's all he's got.
That's all
maybe you just...
That's all I have is sitting in a cold attic.
Exactly. He actually sits here all the time. It's
all
weird.
The time.
I just come up here and...
just going through my proofs.
Exactly. I mean, there's enough whiskey to keep us for at least a day or two.
Well, then that's, I mean, okay, that's fine. I mean, that is fine. I would say during the pandemic, I got into cocktail making too. So now I have a lot of alcohol left over from that time. But I'm not really getting through it at any pace because it's hard not to actually just go out somewhere in Paris. It actually kind of would seem a shame to not just go somewhere in Paris because I'm not going to be here forever. But other things that I do, I mean, I like running. I took up running. Actually, that made me think back to what you were saying about with the keeping yourself. Now we're going back to work anyway, but keeping yourself maybe not excited, but keeping your endurance up after you've had this great research idea, and then a few weeks later you're kind of. I feel it's quite similar at running because also I find myself regularly lying and saying I'll stop at a given point, but then you go a bit further after, and I was like, I guess that is, you know. It's easier to trick yourself at running, I think, though, because there's not really, at least you know it's good for you. Whereas with research, it's like
you don't actually know.
You don't know. I mean, mentally, I'm not sure at all. And I mean, like, and obviously, specifically, well, I mean, it doesn't have to even be. I mean, with lab work, for sure. I mean, there's so many things that can kill you. But then I'm now thinking as well of what you said, Ian, in that about the even mold allergies. Like, there's just so many things that seem to be potentially harmful in just going into research that you would never even have considered before you get like really stuck in, and then you've now altered you're already there, and now you've altered your health permanently forever, and you didn't even question something like that beforehand. But yeah, no, I would say running, family life,
sounds great.
Learning French also, I have to say.
Oh, that's good.
There's nothing like being forced to learn another language, I have to say. You know, it's
that's good.
It helps.
I like that.
What's running like in Paris?
It's okay if it's early in the morning because people tend not to be up too early in Paris. That's not true. People are up early, but the rush hour is very spread out. It's good in the parks. It's quite nice in the parks, I have to say. Again, early. I mean, later on in the day, it's super crowded, and also later in the day, the streets are very dirty as well. I have to say, I do find myself coughing and spluttering quite a bit, but a lot of people have a much less nice. Even when I was running in Dublin, in fact, I have a much uglier view than this. You can't normally run to the Eiffel Tower and back. You know what I mean? So it's so it's not bad. It's pretty good. It kind of keeps you going, but it's a bit like the research proposal thing again, where it's more this idea in your head, and then when you're actually doing it, you're like, I don't care if the Eiffel Tower is there or not. I don't.
I still have to run. Yeah.
Well, you know, it's funny because I've been running for almost 20 years now, and I started in graduate school, and the reason why, and I'm not very good at it, but I've been doing it.
I don't think I either.
Oh, but
I don't actually know as a non-runner, like when you say I'm not very good at it, I just imagine you tripping a lot. Like, is that what that means?
Well, I had a bad fall a couple of years ago. It's actually not that funny.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you should.
Really?
Because it's quite traumatizing still. And I went and I taught a class, and my finger was bloody, and my students were concerned, and like it was a whole thing. But it's funny because I started running in grad school because I was stressed out and I didn't know where my life was going, and so running was a great release for that, and I just never stopped. And then a few years ago, somebody said to me, "Well, you seem to like running," and I said, "I've never liked it. Like I've been doing it for so long that like I've never enjoyed a single mile."
Yeah, I mean, I don't either. I always assumed that was why I shouldn't do it, but maybe I should do it. Maybe I should pick it up.
I think you should. I think when you realize that you're running away from your problems, then it starts to take on. That's what I think. You know, because then it's like you don't want to run, but it's like you're being chased by a tiger. But the tiger is your. It's actually your research.
Tiger is your
that's right. No, that's a great.
Or your emotional state. It's an emotional tiger. It's actually much more dangerous than a real tiger. That's
as
over
it turns
quite
out,
fast.
Much more likely to kill you. Yeah. That's excellent. Well, wonderful. So Jeff, we have now reached the quiz portion of our show, which actually I'm legally required to ask Ian. Remind me what the name of that is.
Did you know?
Thank you very much. I'm actually not allowed to say that. Ian has to say it. So part of it, we're currently doing a St. Patrick's Day special. We thought that it would be fun to have someone actually from Ireland during our St. Patrick's Day special. We were trying to figure out if that's problematic or and we decided we don't know actually. So, but we're doing it anyway. You're here, so it's but so for the quiz part of this, I thought one of the things that we had talked about in the past were hilarious things that we do in the United States to celebrate St. Patrick's Day that it has no correlation to anything that happens in Ireland. And I for a long time, this has actually been an ongoing thing that I've done too, Jeff, is I generally send him pictures of all the various items. Anytime I see a shamrock, anytime I see a leprechaun around this, I just spam his his text with multiple images of this. The worse the better.
Why don't you send those to me?
Yeah, it's true. I should send those. I really should send them.
You should, yeah.
We'll do it. I'll do three.
Yeah,
texts at the
we'll
same
see how
time.
long that
Exactly.
lasts.
Exactly. So what we're gonna do? So what I thought we'd do is we would we'll actually I'll take the kind of various things that I have found in the U.S. that we do that I think will either be hilarious or annoying to you, and you can then rate on a scale from 1 to 10 the annoyance of those things. Or,
which
or
one's
the
which?
Hilarious. 10 is worst.
Okay, 10 is worst.
10 is worst.
10 is worse.
One is
And
one is I don't actually care. All right. I'm gonna start with one. I'm gonna start with one that I think we've actually talked to it before. How about the phrase St. Patty's Day?
that's already up, and it's Paddy's as well, right? With the
it's often a PADDY. Yeah, it's often a.
But Paddy's, yeah. I've also heard patties before.
No, it's also it can be T's as well. Yeah.
Because it's one of those ones that's oddly close to, because in Ireland we would just say Paddy's Day. I don't know what it is about putting the saint in front of the then shortened name, but that seems to be
that's the problem. That's
the bugbear. Yeah, that's where it starts to sound just really, really irritating. I don't know why. I honestly think that could be like at least a 7. I don't know. But now I'm able to read.
No, this is good. No, I really like. That's a good start. I'm actually quite happy about that. All right, that's a really good start. Excellent. We're starting with 7. I like that. Okay, how about this? McDonald's Shamrock Shakes.
Okay, well, so this one I'm actually probably only going to give like a 1 or a 2. It's more of an, and I'll tell you what, we even have I don't know if you can cut all this story. I don't know. I'm going to keep talking, but you can cut it. We had a friend over to help us build a bed the other day, and she's also Irish, and we were actually having a big discussion about Shamrock Shakes, and she was telling us, there's no way of figuring out who she is, so it's fine if I tell the story. So she was telling us about being extremely drunk, in fact, on a St. Patrick's Day. So this could actually really fit into those American stereotypes of Irish.
This is good. Yeah, it's good.
This is good. So she was really drunk, and she decided to get a Shamrock Shake despite her state. I don't know why, she said herself, and so inevitably that undid the drunkenness, but it was in the McDonald's in Germany. But no, I'm okay. I mean, I don't personally love the mint flavor, but it's not very strong. I don't know if they are mint flavored in the US. I guess too.
They're mint flavored, I think.
Oh, I've never had one.
I mean, I haven't either, but I assume they're mint.
Yeah, so I actually have. Despite it being clearly invented by an American corporation to sell it, I have actually had a Shamrock Shake. I mean, I haven't had it for a long, long time, but as a child, I'm pretty sure I would have gone to see the parades in the city center.
Absolutely.
At some point.
The one thing I find interesting about this, I was actually thinking about this we are going to do a segment after this where we actually do a Manhattan using Irish whiskey. But when I was actually thinking about, because we had talked briefly about maybe trying to do some sort of cocktails, I was trying to think of like what are Irish flavors, like drink flavors. And the thing that's funny is the first thing I thought about is actually the mint of the Shamrock Shake, and I thought, is that actually in
flavor?
Ireland? Yeah, in Ireland, do people have lots of mint around? Like, is that like? I assume it's just because of the color, right? They colored it green.
I hope so. I mean,
yeah,
they colored it
but
green.
Then they could have made an. They could have made an oregano shake or a basil shake. I guess mint.
It could have been lime. It could have been lime.
Yeah, or lime would. Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe they were like
lime shake.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like at a stretch. I don't know why I'm trying to even help out McDonald's on this one, but I don't know. But I mean, I presume it's them. I don't know who else sells Shamrock Shakes. Maybe in America. I don't know. I've never seen them anywhere else. I suppose if I was to think about it, at least St. Patrick's Day is like a springtime.
Sure. Yeah.
Holiday, let's say, or their national day, the case of Ireland. And I don't know, at least in Ireland, traditionally you would have lamb and you'd probably have a mint sauce.
yeah.
I doubt there's any link there. I mean, that's really,
I think that's stretching
I'm
it, but
sure
I like it. I like
if
it.
any
That's-
marketing
yeah.
executives ever listen to this, if they do, I'm sure years after you're going to see this all put
Yeah, you're gonna
together.
see it. You'll have started this
Behind the scenes at McDonald's, and they'll say how they were really culturally sensitive about
Right.
Irish people.
Exactly.
And they were like, that's actually what inspired the Shamrock Shake. It wasn't just because it's green.
Well, here's a great idea. Now this is golden, right? What if they started doing lamb burgers
But
and
With the Shamrock
with the
Shake.
Shamrock Shake?
you've just created something awful, and it's just.
I think this could really. I'm going to sell this to McDonald's. If you're listening, you can buy this from me.
The lamb burger, the
lamb burger
McLam. I don't know how the McLam hasn't been.
The mint jelly Shamrock Shake. Yes. All right, this is another visual one I got here. All right, this is Chicago during St. Patrick's Day,
Dying the River Green.
where they've dyed the entire river
So-
green.
So you know what? This again is one of these things where, on the one hand, I'm like, this is, well, I mean, again, aside from, I don't know what the environmental impact of dyeing the river green is. I doubt it's great, but I don't know. I mean, maybe
It's probably not
okay,
awesome
but,
for the fish.
No, probably not. This is one of those things where, on the one hand, a part of me is like, yeah, this is nuts and doesn't really make any sense. But then another part is like, well, I guess if the city of Chicago dyes its river green for St. Patrick's Day, this helps to keep Ireland punching well above the weight that it should be able to punch in international relations. If I'm like this.
This is
This
it.
helps
This is
to
how.
keep. This is the only way Ireland stays on the map. I was like, this is it. I was like, because like, we have
once this stops happening, then they're like,
Yeah, that's
they're like
it.
they're in meetings. They're like,
They're like, yeah, it's not really that interesting anymore. Most people don't really get it. Yeah, that's when all Irish interests, whatever those might be, are kind of
are
lost.
gone.
So I'm like, are gone.
Whenever that's good. This is the canary in the.
Yeah, this is.
canary in
You know
the
what
mine.
I'd say? It was like this is when I was living in the UK, and obviously all the Brexit stuff was happening. It was at that moment where I was like, yeah, actually, the river being dyed green, this kind of stuff, I was like, actually turns out to have been quite useful because, every time there was a discussion of Northern Ireland, you just have whoever, like the whole, isn't there like there's some sort of Irish caucus, isn't there? I don't know what it's
I'm sure
called.
there's an Irish caucus.
There's some sort of, and I was like, why does this even exist? But regardless, I was like, okay,
This is why. It's because of the green.
this is
It's
very
because of the
helpful.
green river.
And the Green River helps to reinforce that, I mean, I actually think if I was thinking, there's a template here for other countries if they want to have outsized influence in the United States. It's to get in on
It's
this
to
kind
get
of-
one, and you had to come in early because I feel like there are only so many colors.
That's true.
And so
That's true.
I do
Blue and
feel
red
like,
are already gone.
Yeah,
to the
I was gonna
United
say I feel
States,
like red isn't gonna work.
No,
I feel like
no,
I
because
feel like
dyed the
for,
river's
for
blood
so
red
many
in
different
celebration.
for so many
Yeah.
different
Yeah, 'cause
reasons.
that looks
I
like-
feel
yeah.
like it's like
Yes.
many different reasons that's not going to work. So you're really. You got to
Yeah, you're
cream
kinda
blue
stuck.
maybe. I don't know. Yeah, you're really.
I feel like blue.
But
and now
water's
they- I
already
didn't-
blue. It's already so.
Yeah.
I feel like you're. I don't know. You're kind of. I mean, this is
yellow's
Yellow,
bad.
yellow,
is
yeah,
yellow is
yellow.
really bad. You don't want. Yeah, this
Oh, yeah,
maybe
sure, I would-
maybe this is like this was a grand scheme many years ago by Ireland. They realized
Probably,
this is
yeah.
the one color
It's
that
the
you
only
can
color.
grab.
And there's only a select number of nations that will ever get you. They're like Italy, India. They're like, if we get in ahead of them,
Exactly.
That's it, we
You
got it
you
all
right
tied
up
up.
there. We're ready to go. That's good. All right, excellent. I'm sure we answered that one. The next one is, all right. This one's a big one. Green beer.
ooh, green beers, that's bad. I think that one's definitely. I mean, I want to say that we don't do that in Ireland as well. I don't know that that's really true to say, but
It's hard because I
don't do
assume at some point you do all of it in Ireland because it is expected by people who come there, and so at some point someone like the capitalist
gives in
the
and-
capitalist concerns outweigh the like whatever like thing is in the back of their head that says that I probably
yeah.
shouldn't betray my
that. I mean,
culture.
Irish people are not beneath making money. That's for sure. Yeah, I mean, without a doubt, if you go into central Dublin on St. Patrick's Day, I'm sure you probably will find green beer somewhere.
Yeah,
I guess. I've never had it though, and yeah,
I've never
I'm
either.
putting
Have
that.
you had
I
green
put
beer?
that as a 6.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But can you get it? Like in Gettysburg, can you get green beer on St.
I mean,
Patrick's
I can
Day?
make it.
Rebecca?
It's just food coloring. Beer. I mean, it just tastes
I
like
guess,
normal
yeah, it's
beer.
not that, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you just as long as you're drinking a bad enough beer and you add some food coloring to it, doesn't have enough color to begin with, you're good to go.
Yeah, I
That's-
guess this is the thing I'm imagining, because it's going to be, I'm imagining something like Narragansett or something like that dyed green,
Yeah,
which seems even,
yeah, it's mostly Budweiser, I
worse.
think.
I think
it's
so.
mostly
Yeah.
Budweiser, okay.
So we have one. I have one more quiz question for you. All right, this is the last one.
Okay.
All right.
Rated 1 to 10.
This is actually a multi-question. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you this. We'll call this the speed round. I'm going to show you.
I like that.
Yeah, I'm going to show you a series of Walmart St. Patrick's Day shirts, and you need to give us a 1 to 10 rating for each one.
Okay.
All right. So this is a shirt
Ooh.
that says "Me Lucky Shirt."
Yeah, I have to say, actually, for a brief second, I actually read that as "me lucky" shirt, if you know what I mean. But then I realized what they were saying, because at first I was like, "This is written like."
This is
who
written
wrote-
for
I don't know. I was
S-Show,
like,
yeah.
so yeah, this is quite illiterate, you know. It's, which probably condemns it. It's bad. Yeah, it's bad.
All right.
Also, it's well, I guess the clover is lucky, not the shamrock. But yeah, it's kind of it's this mixing of the two symbols together also, which
Yeah, exactly.
I guess is also kind of mildly, at least mildly offensive. I don't know.
I think that's true of a lot of things. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's the next one. I actually
So,
quite.
Wait, should I be?
Yeah. 1 to
should
10.
I-
What do we
sorry,
got? What do
to-
we got? Yeah.
Each time do I go 1 to 10?
Yeah, each
Okay,
time 1 to
now
10.
I'm back at. There's 4. How many are there? Just so I don't use
There's,
up.
I think 5 or so.
Okay, now I'm gonna give this one a 7. Now we're back
Oh,
at
okay,
7.
that's good,
So,
that's
let's
good.
see. Let's see where we go.
All right.
Okay.
I'll be honest. I actually like the next one.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry now if.
All right. This one says "Happy St. Patrick's Day," but it actually shows Patrick Star from SpongeBob on the front of it.
I mean, I have to say, I would never
and
wear this. Now.
And he's for the record, he's holding. I think
I
can't quite
noticed.
tell
Yeah.
his
He's
shamrock.
got a
It's
green.
got a green.
It looks like a
hat.
shamrock. And he's
It's-
got a green
Is
Krabby
it-
Patty.
He's got a
as
green
well.
Krabby
It's
Patty.
a green burger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll give that one more like this is. I mean, I would never wear this, and also I think if anyone, I can't imagine anyone in Ireland ever wearing this unless they were American. I just
Yes,
don't
right.
imagine.
This is it.
Maybe
You're-
ironically,
You're a small t-shirt size, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
I was gonna say, the good news is I think each one of these is right around like $7. So like we literally.
I just noticed this as well. These are criminally cheap as well. I feel for how.
Maybe as a thank you for being on the show, we're gonna send you just a package of all of them.
Yeah, I don't think I could run in. Yeah, I think I'll give it more. This is more like a 5 or a 6. I
Okay,
would say,
all
because actually I enjoy the Patrick Star bit.
The
to be
Patrick
fair.
Star is good. Yeah. All right.
That I
All
enjoy.
right, we'll move on to the next. All right. This one is just a green shirt that says, "I'm
Okay.
prone to shenanigans and malarkey."
This one's considerably more expensive for some reason. Why?
Yeah, but
I
it's
don't
still
know.
much-
I
it's
just wanna
20
know why.
bucks. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like $20.
Yeah, you're not getting that one.
There's something. I think it's a pot. I think it's supposed to be a pot of gold. It's all white, so it's hard to tell. I
Yeah.
think it's a pot of gold with
It is a pot of gold, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't love it, but it's not like super duper annoying either. I'd say I'm gonna give that one a 6 because
That's
it's
6. Okay. Yeah.
I'll give them. We'll give Patrick Star a 5 retrospectively. Now I have to.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, you can reevaluate. I like that. Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, on to the next one.
Grading to a curve of sorts. Now that we get more of these T-shirts in, kind of.
All right,
oh,
so this
God.
is
Okay. Now this is.
this is all right. I'm just gonna go.
Oh God! No.
This is
Oh
a
my
great
God.
shirt. This is a gray T-shirt. All right, and it has a shamrock on it, but the shamrock is colored as an Italian flag, and the words are Italian.
This is worse than the racist T-shirt or a racist shirt. I feel that this is worse again. Because
I was
But this is just 'cause it's so
I
crass. No, no.
only went through about 20 T-shirts. There are approximately 1,000 T-shirts on Walmart. Like I just looked for the most popular ones. And so,
it's available in so many colors.
Was this
as
one
well.
of
this is one of the popular ones. Yeah, exactly.
the? Wow.
They should keep a list of who is ordering these T-shirts. So I feel that could be pertinent at some point. I don't know, but yeah, that's bad. That could be a 9. Honestly, I don't even. It's not even that it's not offensive as such. It's just more like I think it's just so crass. Is the only way I can. Crass is the only word that comes to mind. It's
Listen, you're half Italian, half Irish. You can't figure out which shirt to wear, and
yeah, I
and
guess
it's St. Patrick's
that's true.
Day.
Yeah.
It's explicitly listed as a St. Patrick's Day shirt. I like that aspect too. So I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, I guess with time, also if it fades, I'm feeling if you leave it and it fades, the red will fade faster, I feel, and become a kind of an orange, because I've seen plenty of faded Italian flags here in Paris that I, for a second, assume were Irish. So I feel like then you now have an Irish flag, but it would now say Italian on it, which doesn't mean anything. I don't really. And because also the way it's a stylized. I actually thought for a second it was Italian for something. Like it was written approximate apostrophe, but it's
it's definitely a no. Yeah,
yeah, it's just all kinds of. It's made in the USA. I know that. That's the first one I've seen that was. I don't know what that says. Either.
Well, we take pride in our. Oh yeah, that's right. It does have a little star. It has a little star in the bottom left. Yeah, that's good. Excellent. All right. Well, on to our last one. I feel like that one. I feel like I might have done these in the wrong order. This one is more funny, less interesting.
Okay.
All right. This is
I think okay. Sorry, you.
This is a black T-shirt. It has in green. It has a picture of Darth Vader, and the text is also in green. Don't push your luck.
Do you remember that famous scene when Darth Vader?
Yeah, when he said don't push your luck. When he said don't push your luck, he had a shamrock.
He had a shamrock shake. Shamrock shake in his hand. And
he was slipping the straw under the mask.
This is more one of those things where I'm like, actually, the cultural divide between the United States and Ireland, or not just. I mean, maybe the all whole of Europe. I don't know. Yeah, or the whole rest of the world. I don't know. Maybe not Canada, for example. I don't know. But I mean, what's interesting here is it's just because I think it's the juxtaposition of Darth Vader. So it's like this iconic character from a sci-fi movie, but then you've just mixed it with St. Patrick's Day.
It doesn't make any sense. They did a lot of hard work. They made it green and they put a shamrock there. Come on, what more do you want? and they also put a well-known phrase that neither anyone says at St. Patrick's Day nor anyone has ever said in Star Wars. So it's a high quality T-shirt.
It's honestly amazing, because it takes so many, but it's just so wrong in so many ways. Like you said, it just doesn't make any sense. I don't even know who's buying that. Is it like a gag gift? Is it to someone you don't like? Do you think you get it for someone you didn't like?
They don't indicate on this one. On the other one, it was very clear that it was for a good gift for men. This one is pretty open.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a gift for you, is what it's going to be for being. It's explicitly made just for us. Yeah.
Don't push your luck.
Final rating on Don't Push Your Luck.
Final rating.
Darth Vader, Don't Push Your Luck.
I think this actually could get the 10 afterwards.
Good. Excellent.
Not even because it's just such a juxtaposition of so many things that don't belong together at all.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Well, that's the end of our quiz. Wonderful. You passed. That's it.
Was on a curve.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it always is. Well, excellent. Well, thank you so much, Jeff. I think that'll do it for today. I just want to thank you so much for being on the show. I hope you had a good time. I know we did. Any last things we need to say?
No, stay tuned. We're going to have a little bit of a break, and then we're going to come on for a cocktail, St. Patrick's Day cocktail.
That does sound good. Sorry you can't join us for those.
It's all right. I've got a glass. I poured myself a glass of whiskey.
Perfect.
I was like, I'm not going to.
Wonderful.
But it's Friday night here, so I feel it's okay.
All right, wonderful. Then we'll say goodbye to Jeff. We'll let him drink his whiskey, and then we'll go drink ours.
That sounds great. Jeff, thanks so much for being on. Yep. Welcome back to the Ivory Attic. Now we're going into cocktail time for our special co-curricular episode on St. Patrick's Day. One of the things that we were talking about a few weeks ago when we were coming up with the idea of a co-curricular special was designing a cocktail for St. Patrick's Day that would be a little bit of a challenge. And as Kurt and I were talking about Irish-themed cocktails and kind of Irish drink in general, one of the things that I was reminiscing to him about was that my grandfather, who was an Irish American named Bud Murphy, Bud Murphy had a penchant for Irish whiskey. He loved Bushmills Irish whiskey in particular, but whenever he'd go out to a restaurant and they would not have Bushmills on the menu, he would always get a bourbon Manhattan instead.
Delicious.
And so,
one of each of our favorites drinks.
That's right. And one of the things I was talking to Kurt about was that I've long experimented with the idea of putting together an Irish whiskey Manhattan, but frequently Irish whiskey I find is really delicate whiskey for mixing a drink.
It's much lighter.
It's much lighter, right? And so one of the things I wanted to challenge my colleague with was the research question, an essential research question of, can we make a really stellar Manhattan with Irish whiskey that accentuates the flavors of the whiskey, doesn't diminish them, and really kind of blends together the idea of Irish whiskey and kind of American culture?
Absolutely. One, and it also it allows us to avoid doing what a lot of other, I'll say restaurants, we're not a restaurant, but a lot of other restaurants might do around St. Patrick's Day, which is generally create relatively offensive cocktails that have things like mint in them.
Right. And so we're getting
and are invariably green.
Right. So what we wanted to do is to put something together that was strong, right?
Absolutely.
But that really accentuates the flavors of both the Manhattan as well as the Irish whiskey. And the whiskey that I challenged Kurt with was just regular Bushmills white whiskey, and in particular because this type of Bushmills is readily available. It's an affordable whiskey.
Yes. Which is an important thing for whiskey, especially when you're drinking the quantity of Manhattans we tend to from time to time.
That's right. And it's also, it was the preferred whiskey of my grandfather.
Absolutely.
And so we thought that Bushmills would be a really nice candidate, and it's also quite a challenge because it's a lightly honey-colored whiskey. It has some fruit overtones to it, but it's a pretty light whiskey compared to Scotch.
It's almost as far away from a Kentucky straight bourbon as you can get in the whiskey realm.
Definitely.
It's hard to get much further away. Yeah.
And so we came up with this idea. I posed the research question to my colleague, and I thought that one way we could approach this cocktail segment was to look at it as if we were putting together a co-authored journal article. So I posed the question.
Which we've wanted to do for a while.
Oh, we have. We just don't have the skill set to be able to do it.
That's exactly. To do individually or together, actually.
Yes. So I posed the research question, can we make a really good Manhattan using Bushmills Irish whiskey? I think the answer was yes.
Absolutely.
But you said definitively absolutely. I was shakier in my confidence as I tend to be with these sorts of things.
And with me.
That's right.
the relative confidence that you have in me and that I have in me is pretty drastic.
It's very different. It's very different. So I knew that you would go and do some research in kind of mixology for this, research meaning sampling. And then
research as in drinking liquor.
That's right. So then I thought I would go into the family archive and see if I could dig up a description of my grandfather.
I love it.
So I went into the family archive and I pulled my grandfather's yearbook entry from Sewickley High School in the early 1930s. And what is yearbook?
And remind me, Sewickley. That's where is that? The California? Is that the
Sewickley's outside of Pittsburgh. It's a small village outside of Pittsburgh, and my grandfather went to high school there, grew up there. His family, his parents were domestic servants there, which I think is really interesting. And he later on went to Sewickley High School, became a football player there, liked kind of all sports, as you'll hear. And so I looked up his year.
Basically had an identical career to your own.
100%. 100%. So he ended up in Sewickley High School, and this is his yearbook entry, which has a lovely photo of him with kind of coiffed, brill-creamed hair. And it says that Bud's greatness lies along athletic lines, much like me. And the name he has made justifies all the effort that he has put forth.
Wow.
Uh-huh. Called upon not a few times to call signals in football games, Bud handled his job with rare skill and finish. In basketball, too, he has proved valuable at crucial moments. Again.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Yes, identical. This is like it's like I'm hearing a mirror of your career. Yeah.
Liking his food and good times. That's something.
Well, that actually is something we. Yeah.
Liking his food and good times, Bud seems to be an avowed Epicurean and firmly believes that there is absolutely no point to hurrying. He was an extremely slow eater. Try to hide it as he will, his pep is not unknown.
His pep is not. That's good. If only that can be written about us.
That's right.
Someday. I love that he was praised for his gastronomical interests in high school. That's
his Epicurean interest.
His Epicurean. There we go.
His Epicurean, and his pep is not unknown. So I did a little bit of research, thought that would be interesting because of the many similarities.
Yeah, exactly. That really
is.
It's very similar. We actually at a future episode should pull out your entry and try to pull out the
Right.
the parallels there.
So research question has been posed.
Yeah. So whenever this was posed to me, I thought, well, the good news is we already have the actual whiskey figured out and the amounts of that figured out because we both like our Manhattan's a little hotter, a little stronger. And so the general thought is we're going to probably have 2 ounces of whiskey no matter what we're doing. And then maybe just a little bit of sweet vermouth on top of that. To me, the real question was what kind of vermouth we're using.
That's an essential question.
Right. And I don't know what your normal sweet vermouth is. Mine normally is, I've been... this is a little embarrassing with the amount that I spend on my sweet vermouth, but I really tend to go for the Antica formula, which is
that's very nice,
quite pricey.
Yeah.
Sweet vermouth that I've really been enjoying. It is the entirely wrong sweet vermouth for this case because the thing that's wonderful about it has an enormous amount of flavor. It's very robust, but would absolutely overwhelm any kind of flavor that the whiskey has, and you wouldn't even be able to tell it was there. And so I went and then basically tried every other sweet vermouth that I had, or things that were like sweet vermouth. So things like I don't actually have any. I actually don't have any of the real standard ones. So I don't have any Martini and Rossi just because I don't like it very much. But I did have some. Debonnaire.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Tried some of that. That was completely inappropriate. Again, very strong. That has more of an herbal taste to it. I also tried some Punte Mas. I thought maybe we could get a little interesting with the type of different flavors. But again, they were very strong. So the one I ended up going with was the Dolan Rouge.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, so it's
that's
Dolan,
one of my favorites.
Yeah, Dolan is very nice. They make very good both dry vermouths. They make a very good sweeter vermouth. They're white, they're blanc, and the Rouge is their red, their sweet vermouth is quite nice, and importantly is very light. And so that's what I went with. So we went with a little bit of that. The other thing that all Manhattans should have is some sort of bitters. Traditionally, again, you use an Angostura bitters, but again, those bring a lot to it, and I think would really be overwhelming. So we just went with some orange bitters this time.
Okay,
which I think will blend a lot nicer. So, what do you think? Does that sound? How do you think? Do you think it's going to come together? What are your thoughts?
Well, I trust you, and I trust your abundant sampling. I'm a little upset you didn't invite me over for that, but I know that you wanted this to be a surprise. So.
I did. I wanted you to be really, really. The other thing I will say, which I tried, that was something I actually had initially. I told you I had this figured out before I even tried it. I bragged over text, kind of boastfully that I knew this from the beginning. There was one variable that I really didn't actually know. I was pretty sure I was going to use the Dolan. But what I didn't know was I was thinking about maybe doing a perfect Manhattan.
Oh, I thought of that option too.
Yeah. And so for those of you who don't know a perfect Manhattan, uses half sweet vermouth normally and half dry vermouth. And so I considered that, and I actually made both. And the small sampling of my wife and I easily determined that the one that we came up with, which was not the perfect one, actually was better.
That is interesting. So despite its name,
Yeah,
as being
exactly.
perfect,
Well,
it
yeah,
wasn't.
the perfect Manhattan I feel like is a bit of a misnomer because I actually don't like it as much as the imperfect Manhattan.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, me neither. So you're a scientist. I imagine that when you do this, you have a big chalkboard with equations on it and everything, right?
Exactly. In my head, yeah.
In your head, right.
Yeah, I'm
It's-
like Sherlock with the mind
Right.
palace, but it's just a big chalkboard, lots of dust. Well, should we do it?
Yeah, I think we should do it. I think we
All right,
should get our
let's do
drinks
it.
together.
All right, I'm gonna go grab.
Are you sure you're okay with my insufficient ice?
We'll see if it works.
How could it not work? It's ice.
So for those of you trying to that ever want to make a Manhattan at home, one of the important things is make sure you stir your Manhattan. Never shake your Manhattans. One of the issues with a poorly made Manhattan is that it actually has bubbles in it. This should have no bubbles in it. It also shouldn't be overly chilled. So your best bet is to actually throw your Manhattan ingredients in with some ice, and then stir it around. You could get a fancy bar spoon and try to do it cool like the really nice bartenders do, but to be honest, it's really difficult, and I haven't even figured out how to do it yet. My recommendation is to use a chopstick.
That's our method too. Oh. Here it's stirring.
And for the garnish, what I've gone with is the Luxardo cherries, which
Very
again
nice.
is quite a splurge. They run, at least in our state stores or in the grocery stores, about $20 for a jar, which I worked out once is about 50 cents a cherry.
Wow.
Yeah, but when you get to the end of Manhattan, there's nothing that beats having the Manhattan soaked cherry, and these are especially delicious.
It's interesting because a bottle of Bushmills is $23 to $25. Right?
Oh, exactly.
So the cherries are almost
The cherries are almost as expensive.
as
yes.
expensive. That's very funny and very us. I
Yes,
think.
it is. It really is. It
Yeah.
really is. Yeah, cheap whiskey, expensive cherries.
Right.
Kurt and Ian.
Cheers.
Cheers.
You did it.
It's pretty good, isn't it?
It's really good.
I mean, the whiskey really does come through. You can actually taste it. You can taste all the notes. Yeah.
So talk about the proportions here, because the whiskey is coming through, and
Yeah.
and I thought the bitters were going to kill it.
No. So yeah, no. So we're doing about 2 ounces of whiskey. We're doing a half ounce of the sweet vermouth, or the Dolan Rouge, and then we're doing 2 dashes of orange bitters. Yeah, so that's how it comes together.
Well, fantastic. So what should we call this?
Well, this has been a contentious. In every podcast, you have those moments that almost tears the podcast apart. I feel like this was one of those moments between you and me.
It was over text.
Yeah, it really. I felt the strain quite deeply. Well, what did you want to call it?
Well, it's funny because I initially landed on a Pogue song that was made famous by the TV show The Wire, which is The Body of an American, which is a great song,
It is a good song,
but it's a song
I had
about-
not heard it before. I listened to it after you sent it to me.
Yeah, and
It
it's
is a good
song about Irish Americans. And so I thought that would be nice with the Irish American diaspora to kind of work
a
that
great
in
idea.
with the Manhattan and the whiskey.
Yeah, and I took. I liked it, but I liked this better, which is that I really wanted to talk a little to the Manhattan aspect of it and kind of indicate to people the Manhattan side. So my idea was to call it the Hell's Kitchen, which is actually a region in Manhattan that many Irish immigrants actually moved to when they actually first came over. Now, I will say it doesn't. The problem, I will admit, with the name Hell's Kitchen is it doesn't sound like the drink tastes.
No, not at all, because the drink is actually very refined.
It's quite smooth.
Very
It's
smooth.
yeah.
It's very refined, and I think a Pogue song also is probably not like that.
No, not even close.
As
So maybe so this leads to an obvious solution, which is that we very obviously are out of our depths here, and should rely on smarter people than us. And so, what do you think about us putting this out to our listeners?
And seeing what they want to name it.
Absolutely.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So how would they do that?
Well, they can write in to our email address, which is
mail@theivoryattic.com.
mail@theivoryattic.com. So you can write in with what you think the drink name should be for this.
Can they tweet at us?
They can at Ivory Attic Hosts,
Wonderful.
or you can respond to any Instagram post or Facebook post that we put.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That sounds great.
Just make sure to keep it clean because, after all, we are.
We're also refined.
We're all yes, very much, very much so, and we are.
And we want to make sure that all of our children can listen to our podcast about drinking cocktails.
That's right. Well, thanks for joining us as we've rummaged through the Ivory Attic. Just to remind you all that please subscribe to our podcast.
Absolutely. Like it. Can you like a podcast?
You can. I think you can like it.
Yeah, like it.
You can give it stars.
You can give us stars. The more, the better. Actually,
The more
as
stars.
many stars as you can give would be great. We really appreciate that. And actually, if you could write something, like say something nice about us,
That would be great
that
because
would be
we
really
definitely
nice.
need that.
I was gonna say we obviously are people
Need
who
more
need that.
positive
I was gonna say who
feedback.
need that kind of
That
kind of
validation.
encouragement.
Yeah.
And then we also, if you want to, if you want to say things that are nice to us, you can email us directly through mail at theivoryattic.com. We also have all of the social things.
We have the Twitter,
have the Twitter.
Ivory Attic Hosts, and we also have Instagram, and we have a Facebook page. So feel free to follow any of those.
So check any of those out, and please drop us a line. And other than that, I think that'll do us for today.
All right. Thanks again for rummaging through the Ivory Attic with us.
Thank you. I'm Kurt Andreessen.
And the initial.